Welcome to the Sky Commander Flight Brief. It's your mission-ready podcast for drone pilot training and aerial insights across Canada.
From Transport Canada rules to real-world drone ops, we break it down, take you higher, and help you earn your wings. Because here at skycommander.ca, we don't just fly.
It hints there's more to it. It's a masterclass, a deeper level, maybe a philosophy or a community focus, perhaps.
It's definitely intriguing, sets them apart from just, a basic tips show. Skycommander.ca is the obvious next step. Precisely. If you're thinking about flying a drone in Canada, boom, this content is aimed right at you.
Powered by skycommander.ca.
The elite podcast for Canada's drone pilot. Okay, let's get started. You ever get that feeling, when you jump into something new and it feels like there's this whole secret language everyone else just gets?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, aviation communication is kind of the ultimate example of that. It's a place where being super precise with your words isn't just good practice. It's absolutely vital for safety.
Totally. And with more and more things sharing the sky, especially drones or RPAS, remotely piloted aircraft systems, getting a handle on this communication stuff isn't just for pilots anymore. It's fundamental if you want to operate responsibly.
Right, which is why we're doing this deep dive today. We've got these practice questions here, and they really get to the heart of aviation communication. Think of it as like your crash course in understanding what's being said up there.
Yeah, and they cover the key bits.
Yeah.
The specific words, the way you say them, how to actually listen effectively to air traffic control, ATC, and, the proper way to announce who you are and what you're doing.
And the real point here isn't just memorizing answers, is it?
No, not at all. By digging into these questions, we can sort of unpack the why behind it all. Why these specific words? Why these procedures? Understanding that really helps you operate safer and just get the bigger picture of how airspace works.
Exactly. So that's our mission today. Pull out the essential info you need to, not just understand, but really appreciate why standard communication is so incredibly important for keeping everyone safe in the sky. Okay, let's get into it. Phraseology and pronunciation first.
Sounds good. It seems basic, maybe, but it's the foundation, really.
So the phonetic alphabet. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie.
Right. And, it wasn't just made up for fun. Think about trying to tell M from N over a crackly radio.
Yeah, impossible sometimes.
Exactly. So you have Mike for M, November for N. It came about because unclear letters actually caused problems, serious misunderstandings in the past. It's designed for clarity above all else.
And it's not just letters, numbers too, right? I always found tree for through and 5 for 5 interesting.
Yeah, and 9 for 9.
9 right.
It sounds a bit odd at first, maybe, but you immediately hear how distinct they are. Hard to confuse tree with, say, free, or something else that might sound similar over the radio. And Zulu for Z, just another unique sound.
Cuts right through the noise.
Precisely. And that same thinking applies to common aviation terms, like Roger. Simple means I heard you.
Okay.
Then there's Wilco. That's short for will comply. It's specific, though. You usually only say it when you've been given an instruction and you're confirming you will follow it.
Okay. So it's more than just, I heard you.
Exactly. If you didn't quite hear the phrases, say again. Simple. Direct.
Not repeat. I feel like people might say repeat.
That's a really important distinction we should probably circle back to later, actually. But for now, say again. And if you need a moment before you respond or act, it's just stand by.
Okay. And negative obviously means no or incorrect.
Right.
And a huge one, cleared for takeoff. Pretty self-explanatory, I guess. Permission to go.
Absolutely critical, yes. And this all fits into a standard radio call structure. It's always like a predictable pattern. Who you're calling, then who you are, then where you are, and finally what you want or what you're doing.
Gets the key info across fast.
Yes, unambiguously. Everyone listening knows immediately who's talking to whom and why. Super important in busy skies. And that thing about saying numbers digit by digit, like 1, 2, 3 instead of 123.
Yeah, why is that?
Again, avoids mishearing. Less chance of messing up an altitude or a frequency if you hear each number clearly. 123 could maybe sound like 133 in static, but 1-2 tree is pretty distinct from 1 tree.
Makes sense. So thinking about real-world examples, that cleared for takeoff instruction, there's zero room for error there.
None. It's a direct command with huge safety implications. Same when a pilot says something like CGXYZ, turning left base. Anyone listening knows exactly what stage of the landing that aircraft is in. It paints a picture.
So what happens if people don't use this standard language? What's the big risk?
Miscommunication, plain and simple. And in aviation, miscommunication isn't just awkward. It can lead to incidents, conflicts, aircraft getting too close. Really serious stuff.
Okay, that clarity is paramount. Let's shift gears then to listening to ATC, air traffic control. Now, our notes rightly point out, for a basic drone pilot, you generally shouldn't be transmitting on ATC frequencies.
That's key, yes. For most basic RPAS operations near controlled zones, the main job is just stay well clear, don't interfere.
But that doesn't mean just ignore it completely, right?
Absolutely not. Even if you're not talking, just listening to ATC can boost your situational awareness massively. You hear where other planes are, what they're doing, any potential issues. Gives you a much better sense of the traffic environment.
And you can legally listen in, right? In Canada, anyway.
Yep, you can use a scanner to monitor the VHF frequencies. That's usually between 118,000 and 136.975 millihertz. It's perfectly legal for passive listening, just to hear what's going on.
And what are some common things you might hear?
Well, you'll hear things like 5 miles final, meaning a plane is, 5 miles out from landing.
Okay.
ATIS, that's an automated broadcast. It gives weather, runway info, stuff like that continuously. We mentioned cleared for takeoff. You'll also hear landing clearances, like cleared to land runway 27, for example.
And on final.
Yeah, that means the aircraft is lined up with the runway, descending for landing. Very close.
What about things happening on the ground?
Ground control. At bigger airports, they manage the planes taxiing around, moving between the gates and the runway. Listening to them can give you clues about general airport activity, too.
And understanding altitude calls like 3,000 feet? That seems pretty crucial for a drone pilot.
Hugely important.
Yeah.
You need to know how high those manned aircraft are to judge your separation from them. Remember, drones typically fly much lower.
Right. Now, if a basic pilot does need to fly closer to controlled airspace, maybe inside it for a specific job,
then they'll generally need what's called an SFOC, a Special Flight Operations Certificate. That's basically permission from Transport Canada for operations that fall outside the standard rules.
Gotcha. So being able to understand what ATC is saying is a really useful skill then. If you hear, say, CGBC, left base, runway 12.
You immediately know, okay, plane CGABC is making that left turn before final approach for runway 12. Or if you hear a pilot say they're holding short runway 08.
They're stopped, waiting to get onto runway 08.
Exactly. Stopped at the line, waiting for clearance.
Okay, practical one for a drone pilot. What if you hear ATC tell someone, traffic 2 o'clock, 1,000 feet above?
Right. That's your cue to look. Check that direction 2 o'clock relative to the aircraft ATC is talking to. But still, be extra vigilant. You might need to adjust your drone's path, maybe even land it for a bit, just to be safe and make sure you stay well clear.
And what about if you're flying in uncontrolled airspace, Class G? Is there still value in listening to a nearby airport's tower?
Oh, definitely. Even if you're technically outside their zone, aircraft might be transitioning through your area on their way to or from that controlled airport. Listening in gives you a heads up about traffic you might otherwise not know about.
Good point. And worst case scenario, you hear emergency chatter on the frequency. An aircraft in distress.
For an RPAS pilot, best thing to do is land your drone safely and quickly, or just hover it if landing isn't immediate, and stay put. Keep the airspace clear until the emergency is resolved. Safety first, always.
Absolutely. Which brings us nicely to the last piece, position reports and just general communication etiquette, making yourself known, basically.
Yeah, this is about letting other people in the sky know where you are and what you're up to. It's all part of that shared awareness picture.
So what needs to go into a good position report?
The essentials are your location, be specific, your altitude, and remember for drones, that's usually AGL.
Right. How high above the ground itself?
Exactly. And finally, what you're doing, your intentions. Mapping, survey, inspection, whatever it is.
And there are definitely some do's and don'ts here, right?
Oh yeah, big one. Listen before you talk. Don't just key the mic. Make sure the frequency is clear so you don't step on someone else's transmission.
Annoying and potentially dangerous?
Totally. And avoid slang. You wouldn't say, yo, Edmonton traffic, I'm just buzzing around Stony.
Chuckles slightly. Probably not the best.
No. You'd say something professional like Edmonton traffic, your drone ID, conducting visual survey near Stony Plain at altitude. And always start by saying who you're calling. Edmonton traffic, Calgary Tower, whoever it is.
Makes sense. Now, what about those airports without towers? Uncontrolled ones.
They have designated frequencies too. An MF mandatory frequency or an ATF aerodrome traffic frequency. The charts tell you which one applies. You use these to make position reports so other aircraft know you're there.
And even if you're not required to talk, just listening on the MF or ATF is a good idea.
Absolutely. It tells you who else is flying around the airport, where they are in the circuit, if they're taking off or landing. Invaluable information.
Okay, so if you are making a report near an airport, what specifically needs to be in it?
You need your drone ID, your registration mark, usually your precise location relative to the airport, your altitude AGL, and what your flight involves, like conducting infrastructure inspection.
And if ATC does give you an instruction, assuming you have that SFOC and are allowed to talk to them.
You absolutely must acknowledge it with a readback. Repeat the key parts of the instruction back to them. That confirms you heard and understood correctly. Vital for safety.
And ending the call. Just hang up.
Chuckles. No, not quite. A simple professional sign-off. Something like monitoring frequency if you're just going back to listening, or maybe standing by if you expect further instructions. Keep it brief.
Okay, could you maybe walk us through a full example? Let's say a drone near Calgary Airport.
Sure. Let's say you are Drone Charlie Foxtrot, whatever your ID is. You're 3 miles east of the airport, flying at 250 feet above the ground, doing a mapping survey and listening on frequency 118.7. Your call would sound something like, Calgary traffic, Drone Charlie Foxtrot, your ID, 3 nautical miles east, 250 feet AGL, conducting mapping survey, monitoring 118.7.
Clear, concise, has all the info.
Exactly. And if you don't use that kind of standard phrasing,
Back to misunderstandings, right? Potential conflicts.
precisely. Oh, and that point about repeat versus say again.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
So the reason you say again is because repeat in military aviation, especially artillery, can be taken as an order to fire again.
Oh. Okay, definitely want to avoid that confusion.
Yeah, big time. So always say again if you need clarification.
Got it. What if the unexpected happens? Your drone gets surprisingly close to another aircraft.
Priority 1, land safely, immediately if you can, get out of the way. If you're authorized and able to communicate, report your position and what happened. Safety first.
And what if there are multiple drones working in the same small area? Any specific etiquette?
Good question. Yeah, it's just about courtesy and coordination. Use the radio, if everyone has one, to let each other know your positions, your altitudes, what you're planning to do next. Just respectful coordination to keep everyone safely separated.
Right. Okay, so wrapping this all up then, the big takeaway really seems to be that clear, standard communication is just non-negotiable in aviation.
Absolutely. It's the bedrock of safety and efficiency. And even just listening, that passive act gives you so much valuable awareness.
And for you listening, if you're looking to get up to speed quickly, really understand things thoroughly, getting these communication basics down, it's not just jargon, it's central to understanding how the whole airspace system works and how we can all share it safely.
Couldn't agree more. It connects everything together.
So here's something to maybe mull over. As our skies get busier, with drones, maybe air taxis down the line, alongside traditional planes, how do you think these communication rules might need to change or evolve? How do we keep ensuring clarity and safety for everyone up there in the future?
That's a really interesting question to think about. The technology is changing, the users are changing. Communication will definitely need to keep pace.
That's a wrap on today's mission, Commander. See above, go beyond, get ahead. For more training, tools, and intel, head to skycommander.ca. If you learned something new, share it, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star debrief.